Okay, so from this, the preamp gain stage, the C3m output, to the next stage, which is the output stage buffer. This type is very atypical. So usually, if you buy the tube amp, usually only have this, the gain stage, the voltage gain stage, meaning you put a DAC in there as an input, and output to drive the power amplifier. They usually would just give you like, typical arrangement. It's just two tubes, or the gain stage, so-called. If the balancing input, probably you need four tubes, or some fancy one give you six or eight. It's rarely that, yes, they do, but it's very high-end gear, more than like 5K usually dollar. They give you the buffer stage as a power push, and it's very subtle design because if you don't design that well, it will sound harsh, and also it will not be so friendly because you add another stage, a potential introduce other interference, or if you don't set the phase correctly, you introduce other problem. But anyway, so this design is very high end, and by doing this, it will potentially drive like, in my scenario, I have a very hard to drive amplifier. I have a very easy to drive, but those are the high-end amplifier. For example, I have a Macintosh MC462, which is a relative good drive, easy to drive impedance, close to like 47K. I also have a very hard to drive power amplifier, which is a Brewmaster from the Germany 911, which is known for very hard to drive. The RCA input is about like 20K. So it's super hard to drive. So if you only have like standard like gain stage tube, usually output impedance pretty high. So that's why a lot of high-end gear from Germany, from the Swiss, their solid state amplifier, they don't recommend you match a tube amplifier for this reason: hard to drive, impedance matching. All right, but this like crazy strong driver overcome this. So that's why I'm saying this is very atypical. This this preamp, I measure about 150 to 160 ohm output impedance. So usually, a typical preamp, two preamp, the output can be ranged from like easily like at 800 ohm to like 1K or 2K ohm above. So you need very easy to drive power amplifier, but this one, a special design, you can drive pretty much like anything above 10K impedance power amplifier, which nobody really makes like this low power impedance. So Brewmaster is one of the hardest to drive power amplifiers I've ever used, and it drives like super excellent, super fluid, super fast, and very punchy. Anyway, the it work as the output buffer to drive. So I set the constant current about 25 milliamp, which is pretty strong to drive the next stage. So even if you want to modify this to drive a headphone, even the Sennheiser HD 800 series, it will be very easy. Just a few modification, it can easily drive any hard to drive headphone. Like it very easy to drive because the power amplifier, because it has a very high current and high power push. Just give you an example. If I made this as a small power amplifier, with this setting, I just add an output transformer to drive the speaker directly. This is probably gonna give you like 2 watts to 3 watts already. So this is how powerful this amplifier is. So I use the Duland from Denmark, which is the state of the art. I use CAT's PP, which is pretty expensive, but it's one of the finest capacitor in the world ever made. So expensive, but worth it at a certain stage. It's also optional. So does the vitamin Q. It's optional because these are really expensive. Vitamin Q is hard to get because it will discontinue, and I need to test one by one because they're really old, making sure they do not have like oil leak. They have a low ESR, so it has to be treated like special. Yeah, there's some sacrifice I need to make because when I buy from newer stock, chances are, and that really happened was a lot of the capacitor just die out, or the value wasn't correct, or it start to leak the oil. Anything can happen. So it's very expensive. For that reason, I need to test it and hand matching the value before I can fully put into the circuit to work. This is also very expensive, but so good. If you know the Dueland, DUELUND, just Google it. Ask AI how good they are. The Cast PP series. Okay, so anyway, this is the entire topology of the tube amplifier. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention the other those heater arrangement for those the driver, the C3m. As I mentioned, everything is powered by DC. So this is a linear power, switching power, but very, very low noise. I have a local decouple as well to power the C3m. I have the huge Motorola 25 amp bridge rectifier just to power out this like power hungry the output GEC tube from the UK. So everything is very, very quiet. This preamplifier, the bandwidth exceed 100k hertz. It's amazing. It can drive any, as I mentioned, any solid state, any tube pre-power amplifier, easy. It has very, very sweet sound because this amp is I specially designed for the right amount of amplification as a preamp, not too much, not too less. But also I reviews trying to it's a very after calculation not to use any local feedback. So you didn't hear me wrong. This preamplifier, zero negative feedback, no global negative feedback, no local local network negative feedback, zero.